Hi everyone, it's been a pleasure doing DevFest and especially this creator studio this time. And it's one of its kind session that we are doing, and out of all DevFest around India, we've been fortunate enough to do this kind of a setup first time in India. And again, it's even more fortunate to have Joy Banerjee as our guest over here for this session. He's the Vice President of Design at Blinkit. He has a lot of feathers in his cap, and I think words will feel short if I talk about it. But anyways, we'll be talking a lot about how design in general is evolving, how the market is, and what all are we going through as a designer. And would love to hear insights from the man himself. I'll quickly get started. So what do you feel how things are and how are things and design at Blinkit, and if you talk especially about Zomato, how it's evolving, what's going around that?
So thank you, Ariander. It's wonderful to be here. And always, I think this is my second time at the JDG, and this feels very vibrant. So many people, so many young, curious minds here. Love coming here. In fact, part of my topic today will probably explain why I'm here.
Yes.
But yeah, design is such a wonderful, I don't know whether it's a profession or it's a philosophy. It's something which I think is very, very wide. It sort of goes beyond just a very narrow definition. So it's been very, very interesting, especially Eternal, that's the company that now call it, and it's got some fabulous products out there in the market. So of course started with Zomato, then Blinkit, and now I think App of the Year District.
It's yeah.
A lot of my colleagues are actually, they've really evolved into very, very matured, very fine designers. I think I'm very happy to report a very good talent density of motion designers, visual merchandisers. In fact, certain parts of Blinkit, certain services are actually fully managed by designers themselves, So it's very interesting. So when we talk about product design, I think it's one of the few companies where we really do product design.
Exactly.
Not really just a service org. And that's also been my vision in Blinkit and Zomato, is to make the design team be part of the larger product engineering sort of a team. Be there solving real problems and solving it well. At some point, I think we'll see that we'll start moving away from just services and we'll be looking at experience overall. And I think that's what we do, I think, in Blinkit and Zomato. There's a term called frontlining. People would have heard a lot with Dipi going out and delivering, and I'll be going out in the dark stores and packing and stuff like that. But that's really a real thing for us.
And they do a lot.
Yeah, they do quite a bit. In fact, we have to. I would say we've got two major parts in Blinkit. One is the consumer side, and there's the supply side. On the supply side, it's a full cadence that you have to go out. Be at the warehouses, deliver orders, see how pickers and putters, whoever, how are they working, build software for real people, for their workflows. Instead of, many times I've seen that we build these very fancy workflows for our people, and then they find clever ways of avoiding it. Which actually tells you that we've done something not quite right.
Correct.
So I think that's how it is. It's a very smart team, not very large teams. I'm still surprised that the entire set of designers, really, I think that adds up to around 120 in the Eternal group. But still, I think the teams are small, and I think we would keep it that way. But very sharp, very, very fine designers who are really solving all kinds of things.
And I think the kind of impact your team is creating right now, I would not call this strength, a short strength or anything. It's doing a huge impact, and I think at this point of time, numbers won't really matter to you. Okay. Again, I just wanted to understand that in general, what do you feel that how product design was and how it's actually revolutionizing, going forward? So it's a lot of buzz things around. Some of the items are, just a buzz. It comes up and then goes. But what is actually going to stay, and how are we actually going to learn more as a designer? Is our role going to be more relevant or maybe less relevant?
No, it's actually a very, very good question, and I think it's one of my things which I usually talk about a lot, is that the core definition of design is just not product design as we call it.
Yeah.
In fact, when we studied design, product design used to be industrial design.
Right.
Making physical objects.
Exactly.
At some point, companies like Google sort of came in and they were building these digital products. So it's sort of, I think this name kind of stuck. But it's a very big part for designers today, product design. But that's not the complete design. In fact, design is much older than product, which is barely a decade old.
Yeah.
I mean, in our digital format or in digital services. And design starts we have a history going back into 3,000, 4,000 years, right? And I would say that for every designer, I think it's very important to understand the history of design. Where does design come from?
Correct.
And what is design? I mean, everything that you built as human beings, this entire artificial world is design, whether it's poorly designed or well designed, we can figure that out. But design is much, much larger. And I think where we really need to go from here is that the tools are going to get better and better. Right? When I started out, we used to have these very beautiful, tiny little Macintoshes.
Yeah.
With this awesome, I think 1 MB memory RAM.
Right.
And little 3.5-inch floppy disks and all, and bandwidths were very, very low.
Right.
But it was still very, very exciting because the first time we saw desktop printing come in. Right. And Apple standardized on laser printing.
Yes.
And so the output used to be absolutely fabulous. I still actually miss doing a lot of print design because the poster design, print design, these are all lost trades which used to be so nice.
Right.
What I see nowadays is, one company sort of builds, like Blinkit builds certain kinds of design language. And
exactly.
Everybody in that business sort of starts
following that. Yes.
But again, I think somewhere as human beings, we love our machines and we fall in love with them, like whether it's AI or whether it's these beautiful hardware that we have or our mobile phones. But tools don't make design, and they don't help you. We many times design either only for, say, an experience which is very visual in nature, but design extends beyond. So I think we'll have to move beyond surfaces to entire experiences.
Yes.
And with AI systems scaling so much, where tools will you will prompt and and it's initially started off being a wrapper. So first you had to code, then you could do use point and click systems. Today you can just talk into a system and it'll generate something for you. So it'll keep lowering the bar for a lot of more people to come in. Youngsters. I was just listening to somebody saying school children are vibe coding and
exactly.
Apps, right? So the bar is going to be very, very low, but the ceiling is going to be high.
Right.
And to match that ceiling, I think for designers, it's really, really important to have a larger worldview, to understand design at its core. So what does it mean? And it has to do so much with human condition. At some point, these tools are going to be really explode, and at some point, we have that scaling system where they will level off, they'll become more mature, costs are going to come down, you'll get whatever token per watt is going to become reasonable. At that point, what will designers do?
Yes.
I think it's a genuinely deep question, and I think that's where we need to be. The real empathy will start coming in, understanding. I don't know what is the future of work. Forget about just designers.
Exactly.
So if you talk about doctors, lawyers, what's the future?
Yes.
So are we going to just go back being farmers? Growing, quite possible. But till that time we get there, at least in our lifetimes, I think there's still going to be some work. And I think the designers have to really go dig deep into truly understanding and feeling design through and through for the next 10, 15 years.
Makes sense. I think that really makes sense. Moving ahead, so we all have been at somewhere or the other point of time in our life that we build products at scale, but there has to be a lot of balance. And I think I personally feel that that balance is really difficult. If you consider a good product, if you consider also some creativity around that, if you also are in the market and you need to match your competitors as well, And then again, your basic consistency standards, your accessibility. How are you juggling around all of this and then still managing to get, shine out like a star? So how this mechanism happening?
That's a deep one. Needs more thinking. So let's break down what you call as product at scale. Essentially, when you're serving such a large, massive market like India, again, quick commerce is only serving a certain percentage point. It's a really low, small percentage. It's not as big as you think. But still, in spite of that, you're serving like 25-30 lakh orders every day. That's a huge number to work out. But again, you will see that, in fact, that's part of my talk today, is to look at the certain number of people who depend on a platform like ours. And they're in certain cities and they expect a lot more. And they also, in a way, tell us, what they want, how they want. So we focus on at least those guys first, is that we solve their problems.
Right.
So, you can't really build anything for everybody.
Exactly, I understand that.
So you have to build certain cohorts of people and say, okay, this guy needs my service. Like I think Google had this something called a toothbrush test. Something that you need at least twice a day, right?
Yes.
So we're also looking at Blinkit thrice, 4 times a day. And somebody who uses a platform like that, you want to make life easy for him.
Correct.
Actually her. And then, things become, you can break these things down. And there are different cohorts. There are somebody who's coming in new. There's somebody who's just exploring our system. Somebody you can search. Somebody who cannot search.
Exactly.
Some older people. Sometimes they cannot actually sit down and write. So they'll have to browse through. So I think very important is to be aware of who you're building for. Once that awareness sort of comes in, I think you talked about accessibility, very important. So when you scale beyond maybe the English speaking and English using populations go deeper, or even in major cities, so people who are helping out in your households, they also need to be using the same system, right? So the person who comes to cook for you has to order food. Now my app has to be accessible. I think this is where these newer technologies are becoming so interesting, and we're working on properly using AI to make that happen well. If a person cannot browse, can the person, use the other system, talk to my system and do it. So there are many aspects, and some of these things are not there yet, but at some point they're going to get better and better and better.
Of course.
I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about being able to serve Bharat. Right, as a larger use case, delivering the best quality produce, to them, and that's at scale. That's at scale. So I think that's where it is, and it has to. And India is such a diverse sort of a nation.
It's a tough market.
I would say it's a very interesting, lovely place to be in. I think what Blinkit and other all our that industry is doing is something that's not done anywhere else in the world.
Correct.
So I know there are people who do these deliveries in 10 minutes or something in the Middle East and all, but those are very small geographical areas. Here, and very concentrated dense places. Here we're doing it very difficult.
At a scale that, unimaginable,
So there's so much to learn, and it's so much fun. And we take these problems one by one, and try and iteratively solve each of these issues. So none of these features just go out as a release. We build it, we prototype. We do a lot of prototyping just to answer that part of the question. And we constantly look for feedback coming in from the market, looking at data.
I think that's really important.
And every feature, I think, takes at least 6 months, 7 months to become a properly matured feature, which either we pick forward or drop. So that's how we do it. We know who we are building for, and we know how to get closer and closer to them.
I think that really solves my question. One of the very asked questions for a lot of budding designers like me, how to actually crack into Zomato, Blinkit, and the ecosystem that you're creating.
There are lots of anecdotes. There are people who build some very beautiful solutions, and they marked us. You know, and in fact, every day I would get 20, 30 connection requests and people solving some problems. And I try to go through them, all of them. I'm not able to, unfortunately, answer all of them. Of course. But we do look at every request very carefully, look at portfolios. Sometimes people do some fantastic solutions and they say, okay, let me talk to them. The other thing is, of course, there are campuses, and people reach out, get internal referrals. What do we look for? A baseline quality of understanding of tools.
Right.
Because it's a little hard to teach that. Having a certain baseline craft, right? You should be either very good at it or at least some baseline, and you can, have that thinking process to support that craft. More than anything, I think we're looking at people who truly think product as a whole.
Right.
So many times I've actually looked at people's, designers who've 2 years or so in their experience, and I look at the products. I understand the products are not really as great, because they might be working for a company which is really not delivering something superb. So I said, okay, show me your school project.
Yes, exactly.
Or I would say do something on the side.
Right.
You may or may not always make it to a great company which is always doing a great thing, but build something.
Correct.
And show that you can build something on your own, and something spectacular, interesting. So personally, I've hired quite a few people who have shown that spark, that little brilliance.
Right.
I think that's what we really look for, especially when you're younger.
Yes.
When, of course, you're matured, and then you look for a certain kind of a thinking, ownership, and being able to, think different.
I think a dynamic person is required at that point of time.
Right. So,
Okay, awesome. I think a couple of rapid fire things that we always do. Yes. So I think we've done this, but what's your choice on dark mode and light mode?
So again, going back to the previous question, when we do judge people, we always look at light mode first. Dark mode actually is basically to help you ease your eyes at night. It's not necessarily a more usable mode, because your pupils sort of dilate, so you see less, and then again the colors become lighter. And a lot of things tend to look a little nicer on a dark background, but I judge on the light mode. So, and in general, I prefer the light mode. Yes.
Okay, and I think one of the most discussed one is it's Zomato or Zomato.
You can call it Zomato, but it's up to you. It's fine. As long as you love the brand, it's good for us.
Yes, I think now it's time to call it Eternal anyways.
Yes, true.
Yes, I think that was a really wonderful time catching up with you.
Sure.
I'm really hoping this would be a very helpful session to whosoever our audience watches. And looking forward to catching up with you again. And it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, and hopefully you guys can join in on the session.
Yes, definitely.
I'd love to share, love to hear more, and thank you. All the best.